Alex, welcome to the Big Lab podcast. How are we?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Second time round.
Yeah, no, that was a long time ago now as well.
Yeah, I was looking before. It was February 2021. I think a lot's got on in the last 2 years. Well, 2.5 years.
Yeah. To be fair, I was even thinking it was actually maybe before even COVID.
No, I started it during the second lockdown. So, yeah, just over 2 years ago. But I was looking as well. So you were episode 4 on the first season. This is episode 4 on the 4th season. Coincidence.
It's fate.
Yeah. So do you want to give yourself a little bit of an introduction for those that don't know you?
Yeah, so I'm an online fitness coach and co-founder of the Every Move Academy, which is a fitness coaching business that I run with my girlfriend Sarah, teaching and coaching people to lose body fat, build muscle, get stronger, get fitter, run a first marathon, look good for their wedding day, get fit for a fitness event, anything really in between. And obviously all that's done through like personalized nutrition, personalized lifestyle, and personalized training plans and everything like that. Every Move Academy is now like 3 and a bit years old. And I've now been personal training for pretty much 7 years, which is...
It's flown by.
Yeah, that has flown by. It's pretty crazy saying it like that.
Yeah, so firstly, is it not fiance now?
Well? Oh yeah, shit.
Congratulations on that one.
I said that to someone the other day. She was like, "Oh yeah, my girlfriend," and I was like, "She's not my girlfriend though. She's my fiance."
Getting used to it.
Yeah, that's because we've spent 8 years being boyfriend and girlfriend. It's ingrained.
Yeah, definitely. So, your main sort of objective with clients then is sort of taking the general population and getting them to work towards a certain target, whether that be holiday, weddings, or like you said, the first like marathon or 10K or whatever.
Yeah, and like it's for us, like obviously having gone through that transition of battering yourself in a deficit to lose that little bit extra body fat and actually what's it worth. So it's very much like taking our own experiences and learnings and failures, I suppose, of like actually how we can educate clients to still live an enjoyable life, obviously still build the body that they want to, because that's going to be a big focus for so many people, but at the same time doing in a way that allows them to like become fitter than they've ever thought possible, lift more weight than they ever thought was possible, and then that advances into doing things that they never even potentially thought they would do. Like we might have people that say come on board that have got a marathon in mind or have got a turf games in mind or something like that, but at the same time it's quite amazing when someone comes on board just wanting to be a bit better about themselves, and that then just turns out to be like smashing fitness competitions and smashing turf games and running a 10K on the weekend, but doing it in a way where they have already transformed their body at the same time.
Yeah, so sustainability is sort of key in the long term. It's not just a 12-week fitness challenge where you drop a load of body fat for a photo for Instagram.
Correct. And it's like, obviously, there's lots around that in terms of like that, the not even just the editing behind it, just the knowing what that person has to go through to get to that level of body fat, and then that transformation photo that then gets put on the internet that actually the everyday person looks at and goes, I want that, but actually they don't really want that because they don't realize what they have to do to go through to get to that. And it's just creating like this false reality for a lot of people. And for us, it's very much about setting people up for life. And people might say that's like dramatic, but like overestimate to say that. But ultimately, we want to build habits for people that can last for the rest of their life. And what that usually looks like is whatever they're doing at the moment, we just need to make small changes that then lead to big results in their life.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, isn't it? People seem to think they need to make these huge, massive changes to get big results, and quite often it's just getting the basics right. If once you've got the basics right, 80, 90, 95% even of the way there.
Yeah, like if you're smashing your training, you're eating largely well, you're sleeping largely well, and you've got your lifestyle in a good place where you're largely active on your day-to-day basis, you're probably going to do a lot of good things.
Definitely.
But it's when you see shite on the internet and read rubbish that then people go, oh, well, I've got to delete just everything out of my life in order to get to where I want.
Carbs are bad.
Yeah, or just some guy in TikTok that's gone into a supermarket and picks up random foods and goes, this is bad for you.
Oh, I know the guy you're on about. Yeah.
There's a few of them, they're absolute weapons.
Yeah, there's a lot of crap out there on social media, and I think that's what confuses a lot of people. Like I was just saying then, like a load of people say carbs are bad, and mainly that's because it tends to be those foods that you enjoy, that people are thinking that's what's making them fat, and it's not. They're just overeating most of the time. You still need the carbs there. But yeah, the people that go into supermarkets picking up food saying this is bad for you, don't touch it. You've got to have a bit of balance.
But you could I guarantee you could walk into a shop and pick up borderline every single item and find something on there that you've never heard of before and go, that's got to be bad. It's like, yeah, but if you it's like that argument with Diet Cokes and things like that, and people are like, it could cause X, Y, Z, and you're like, yeah, if you literally drank it all day, every day, and you were consuming 20 litres a day, then yeah, it's probably not going to be good for you. But having a can or two on a day-by-day basis, you'll be okay. Like,
yeah, it's like the whole thing with it's aspartame, isn't it, that came out that study. And I think I've read somewhere that for it to be like a lethal dose or cause any major issues, you've got to be having like 1,000 cans of it a day or something ridiculous. Like it's all in the dosage at the end of the day. It's just a load of like scaremongering on the internet for views and likes and whatever else. So going back to what we were saying then about the quick transformations and everything, what are your views then on the whole fitness photo shoots that people seem to be going through recently?
So I think like there's people, like, I mean, I've got friends that do it, but like there's coaches that do it that are doing it for the right reasons in the way that like it's a similar aspect to, and this is where I've got to like be respectful to people. It's a similar aspect of like me, client coming on board and just wanting to lose body fat and build some muscle and feel better about themselves. And then in like 6 months' time, they're doing a turf games.
Yeah.
It's not that, because I think that is way healthier as a drive and a motivation and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of aspect of like pushing that person to become like the best version of themselves and constantly building and constantly getting better. And I can see then the reason behind that of like wanting to push that person towards a shoot, of that person really feeling great about themselves and taking it to that like next level aspect. But you are going to do it in a way where that person isn't probably eating that much, is probably feeling pretty fatigued on a day basis. And therefore it's like, well, is it the best thing for them? I don't know. And then you have the side of it that it's like people are absolutely doing it for the wrong reasons, where they just like they're just doing it for the before and after, and that's like why I think UP is just like, I mean, I think they're all a bunch of weapons, to be honest. Like the model behind UP, and like, so we sometimes work in town at a place called XYZ Social, which is above UP, and the amount of times we hear, like, I'll be sat there and there'll be like a UP head coach talking to one of the PTs, and you're just like, the clients at UP are a number that they do not care about. And their sole focus is like, we want every single person to lose body fat, and just like, we want that big difference for people. And they don't really care about that person's health, their mental health, their physical health. They just see those like before and after photos. How amazing can we make it look for other people to want to come on board and do it? And then it's just that like monetary cycle for them.
It's essentially paid marketing. I see it as quite often. There never seems to be like an aftercare with it. So like it'll be, this is what we did in 10 to 12 weeks, but then you'll see them like a couple of weeks later in the gym and they've put it all back on because they're just not getting that like care afterwards to come back out of that dieting phase. It's just, oh, go and enjoy yourself, eat your cakes, eat your pizzas, whatever.
It's like that same argument where like I'm not a massive fan of meal plans because all it tells that person to go and do is like, right, on a Monday morning I want you to eat this, on a Monday afternoon I want you to do this, XYZ, and like rinse and repeat. All it teaches that person is how to listen to what you tell them to do.
Yeah.
But as soon as they come off that meal, and they probably see results, they probably see, like, if they stick to it, they probably see good changes and they might feel better about themselves, but they can't eat like that for the rest of their lives. And then they come off it, and then all the habits that they've had before just go back to where they were, because there's no, for them, they don't understand what's
education
going on.
And stuff.
Yeah. And that's why for us, it's very much like, right, we'll follow you on MyFitnessPal, we'll understand what you're eating. And as I touched on before, of like making small changes, I tell people targets and goals to aim for. And then it's about like that aspect of, okay, let's swap this out and bring this in, right?
Yeah.
Add this in to get more of your protein, or add this in to feel better in your training. Cause actually we need to like fuel those sessions a little bit better. But like those feedbacks are going to be so much more important for that person that can carry on for the next 50 years. Instead of just like an 8-week meal plan that does nothing really.
Yeah, I was very similar. I never wanted to do meal plans, one, because of how time consuming it would be to make people meal plans. Two, as exactly what you said, is once they come off that meal plan, they don't know any different. But now, so I have an option of meal plans through the app that I use, Trainerize. Nice. And what that uses, so say if you get your calories for your client, it'll spit out a load of meals that fit those calories. Now, I don't tell people to stick to it. I just say, if you want some healthy, nutritious meal options, use the meal plan for ideas. If you want to stick to it, you can stick to it. There's thousands of meals in there. You can use the swap function. It'll swap out a load of meals to give you the same calorie meal. But quite often it's people struggling to get protein, and as I imagine you have as well. All I say is, if you're looking for some like high protein meals which are going to be nutritious, fuel your sessions, just dip into the meal plan and have a look. There might be some like meal ideas. I never want to say, stick to it, because what we said, if you come off that meal plan, you're never going to know what to go and do afterwards.
No, and that's like for us, we've got like, I mean, I won't claim them. They're all Sarah's. It's like, I don't even know how many recipes are on there for people to like enjoy. And she's obviously broken everything down into high protein like meals, lower calorie meals, good snack alternatives, all these kind of breakdowns for people. So it's a similar aspect. It's like, look, this is 1,000,001 ideas for you, but it's about implementing things of what you enjoy doing. And as you say, there's and I mean, I'm sure there's even crazier like technology there with AI, where you can literally probably say, put into ChatGPT or whatever and say to someone like, right, they've got XYZ that they don't enjoy doing, they've got this dietary issue, blah blah blah, and fire that in, and it will probably spit something out at you that's actually not that bad. But it's that aspect of like, there's an idea, but still need to be flexible in your everyday life.
Yeah, because everyone's life's different. So that's what I say to mine. Like when they come on, I'm like, right, you can stick to it if you want to, but everyone is different. Every week is going to be different. You're going to have stuff on. You need to fit your diet in around how you're living. Maybe make a few changes here and there to make it a bit more optimal. But yeah, it's about having that flexibility and then learning to go when they're out in the shops. If they need to go pick up something quick, they go, right, that's high protein, that's low like calorie, this, that, and the other, making just cleverer decisions basically.
Yeah, and it's if you're going out on a Friday night with a couple of mates and your meal plan doesn't tell you that you can have a beer or two and you can go and have that pasta in the evening, you're going to stare at it and go, oh shit, I can't eat tonight then, can I? And it's like, it's not creating good knowledge.
Not at all. So when we spoke last on the podcast, I think you were just getting into sort of CrossFit, weren't you? It was pretty new-ish. What was the reason for the changeover?
Well, so way, like, to be fair, when I was first kind of in my first PT job, at that time was very training bodybuilding focused. But where I worked was a lot of older people. So if anyone lives locally and they know Cotton's Hotel and Spa, they'll know like the demographic was a lot of older people. And I kind of realized pretty quickly that the majority of people in there are coming to me with hip issues, back issues, knee issues, tightness, this, tight that. And yes, they're obviously in there to feel healthy and stuff like that. But it wasn't as much of a like, I want to lose. Like for me, of my bodybuilding focus was like train for aesthetics, do this. Yeah. And then that was not the focus in that gym whatsoever. It was, they wanted to just have a better quality of life. And I then started doing a lot of like research and understanding from like a mobility standpoint, injury standpoint, all this kind of how to help people that are tight in certain areas and why they might be tight there and how we can release that's going to obviously combat wherever they're at. And that actually just turned into a bit more of a passion. And I actually then started like to really enjoy more of that like purpose of mobility and stretching and things. Then the first class I ever taught was a functional training class, and it was on my first day. I walked in, and one of the coaches, Mark Perkis, who's a legend, I didn't think he was a legend at the time, walked in and he was like, so you're going to be teaching functional training this morning. I was like, A, what the hell is that? And B, I don't want to do that. And it was to 5 people, I think, and it was the worst class that anyone could have ever been a part of. I don't even think there was a warm-up, because I think that was like a complaint that someone put in after it. It was honestly just shocking. And I then came home in a massive mood, like, functional training, what even is this? Like, I know how to train, giving it Billy Big bollocks. And then again, it was like, and then I had to learn different functional training exercises for that class. And I was like, actually, these are quite cool. I might try some of these. And then again, so it was like the combination of trying to satisfy that audience and that client need. And then from that learning and understanding, obviously, I'm a big believer in practicing what you preach. So I wanted to see how it felt myself. And then it just kept on growing into like this passion of like, there's so much more out there than, I mean, I still do bicep curls, like who doesn't, but like there's so much more out there that's like gonna build you into a better person, and you can become more powerful, you can become faster, you can become more skillful, you can use your body weight more, you can do all these amazing things that bodybuilding style of training has a very quick limit. And where then I moved into a pure gym where there was the one I was at, Urban Exchange, had like an epic functional training space. Like basically it was just massive floor space. So there was loads
we went up there, didn't we?
Yeah, like
after
it was so good.
Working at the Gymshark event.
Like there's other pure gyms that are like, they're like, they've got a bit of space, but that was just like wicked. You could wheel stuff, like wheel the rowers out, wheel the bikes out, whatever you wanted to do, get the barbells, anything. And again, so that just carried on, like was doing more Olympic lifting, getting into all of that.
I think that's the first time I did Olympic lifting.
Was it?
After the Gymshark event, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I love
like
it.
4 years ago now, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Sarah joined, she was like again, Sarah was very much like kind of trained glutes all the time and whatever as a girl. And then she followed me a little bit, and we both were doing it together, and she was finding so much more enjoyment in her training as well. And so we were both doing a little bit more like quote unquote functional stuff together. She then, I don't even think it was as lockdowns had fully finished. I think it was after the very first lockdown, she joined Train Manchester, which is a like CrossFit gym around the corner from here. And she wanted to join. And in fairness to her, one of the big reasons she also wanted to join was to just like, because she had heard good things from a community aspect, and she wanted to just like meet some like-minded people and people with similar interests. And I mean, that's another story. Like it's an epic place for that. If anyone wants one of them, like we've got genuine like friends that we see all the time from there. But yeah, that's another story. So like I said to her that I didn't want to join yet, because I was still PTing at Pure Gym, and I was like, I'm not going to get advantage of this membership, because for me it was so much easier finishing a PT session, training myself, and then going into another PT session, then traveling half an hour across town to train and then come back again. It would have just been a waste of time. So I kind of said to her, like, right, when like we do make that full switch onto fully online, then I will join. And even more so when she started going to classes and stuff, and she was saying how good it was, and you could already see like how much she was progressing, like rapidly. And then I obviously then, like, the business was in a place where we could completely commit online, stopped gym floor PTing, and literally like straight away signed up. And then I think I did one class, and then it was that December like to March lockdown, so that then put that in the spanner in the works.
When you came on the podcast, that would have been then.
And then actually, so then that would be coming on there. And then obviously gyms reopened, when like obviously straight back to there. And that was, I think, well, must have been, like March, a couple of years ago. And then
21.
Obviously being in a CrossFit gym, my like love for it had just gone absolutely like through the roof. And that's just obviously continued to where it is now, of like getting coaching sessions to learn all the different skills, like nail the movements better. But yeah, it's mega.
So you must obviously enjoy the CrossFit side of things more than the bodybuilding side. You said you still do your bicep curls, because who doesn't love a bicep pump? But you touched on as well the community side of things. I see a lot in terms of there being like a community feel with CrossFit, because obviously you tend to do these classes in big groups, don't you? So there's the whole pushing each other on, whereas for someone like me who trains alone pretty much all the time, you don't tend to speak to anyone else. You go in, get your workout done, and get straight back out. Like the gym that I'm at now does have like a functional fitness. It's actually like a functional fitness gym. They've just got like normal gym equipment to the side of it. Not gonna lie, the sessions look like chaos. I've sat there on my rest sometimes and just watched them. I'm like, how does anyone know what's going on? But they all seem to know what's going. They've just actually signed a partnership with High Rocks as well.
No, that is booming.
Yeah, so it does look good. Like, I have been tempted to get involved every now and again, but we'll see. Yeah.
It's a good, like, the class dynamic is wicked, because you do meet a lot more people, and it's a weird one, because you could argue like, oh, well, you go to a Pure Gym, go to Body Pump, and like I don't know what it is, and it probably actually then stems from like the coaches, right, and what's coming above it. But like the class environment, from my experience in a CrossFit box, is totally different from the class environment in a Body Pump class, where people come in and they just like, I was talking to Sarah about this the other day. Like, I used to, like, you'd be mic'd up and you'd walk in and you go like, evening everybody, and everyone was like, and you're like, so, and then it was just awkward for like a few minutes, and you're trying to make conversation with people, they're not interested, they're just like on their phone, please don't talk to me, kind of thing. But it probably is just like that environment, because Pure Gym is like, well, and most commercial gyms now is, you put in a code, you walk through a barrier, and then you're in the gym and no one talks to you. Whereas, and actually, again, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. What's hilarious about where I train is that if you have headphones in, you're the odd person out.
Yeah.
And like, even in open gym, like, I'm obviously following a program, and there's quite a few people that are like similar. There's some people that obviously just do the classes and smash them.
Yeah.
But like, you walk in, you're like, morning, not bad at all, morning. Like, and you're all just like having banter in the mornings and whatever, and you're training, and someone might have a like 1RM attempt that day, and you're all like, come on, like edging each other on. And it's a totally different environment. Whereas I couldn't think of anything worse than going back to the Pure Gym I was at without headphones in.
Yeah, so I've done the Pure Gym, I've done the JD Gym. I then moved over to this gym called Transfit. So I actually don't wear headphones in there at all, just because they always have decent music on, because they just go on SoundCloud.
Yeah, it does make a big difference with Ed Sheeran and...
Oh, mate, every time I used to go into JD, I would be working out to share, do you believe in life after love?
Yeah.
without fail every single session.
It's because it's always just on a loop. So it was like the
Yeah,
same time of day you're going in, it's back on again,
literally.
back on again.
Literally, but this gym now, they get like a SoundCloud mix up
Nice.
and it's sound. But yeah, I mean, they're a lot friendlier people in there. But going back to what you were saying about the pure gym and the body pump, I feel like the difference between that and going into an actual CrossFit gym is the purpose of the people being there. So I imagine the body pump people are genuinely going in there to just burn some calories and get a sweat on. Whereas if you're at a CrossFit gym, you're there for a lot more purpose and like functionality side of things. You're there to sort of progress as an athlete, so to speak.
I think as well, like with a body pump class, in fairness to a lot of the people, and as I said, like everyone's on their phone and they're not interested. In
Yeah,
fairness to a lot of the people, that's probably their first gym experience,
yeah,
and they probably aren't very like confident in themselves, and they probably aren't confident enough to go into the gym in other areas. So they've come into
yeah,
body pump and they go set up near the back because they are like a little bit self conscious.
yeah,
But then I think that's what then, because there's still lots of people that walk into a CrossFit gym and that's their first gym experience. But I think what they do very well is making people feel welcome.
yeah. Integrating them in.
Yeah, and I think then what happens is like there's a I'll say them because they're awesome. If they might be listening, I don't know. But George and Amy at Train are like epic at just like you see Amy as well. Like the other day, someone walked in and she was like straight to them, being like, "Oh, hello, is this your first class?" And it's like that's one of the members, and it's
Yeah.
just like straight away that's just creating this like environment. But I do think that probably stems from the top.
Yeah, it's experience as well, isn't it? Like everyone's been there, like a beginner at some point. So I think if everyone understands, because obviously you were probably feeling a bit nervous the first time going in. Everyone just assumes that because people have been there for ages and they're confident there, that that's the way they've always been, which is probably not the case. Like we've all been a beginner in a gym. Even moving gyms is completely different.
Yeah, like you still even like I still even find if you walk into a gym you've never been in, you're a little bit like,
Yeah,
oh, where's that? Where's this? Whereas so like if you've never been to a gym before and then you're going to a gym for the first ever time, it is going to be a nerve wracking experience. Like I remember, I don't think. Well, I remember first ever going to the gym. It was much more of like going with a friend.
yeah. Remember that
Um,
time when we went to Dedicated? We didn't have a clue.
yeah, that was. I mean, that was like every machine in the world. It's new. Have you
Absolute
been recently?
chaos. I've been back since it's been done up, and it's
Nice.
bigger.
I think it's got, isn't it classed as like the Europe's longest
That's the
dumbbell rack or something like that?
Yeah. It goes up in ones from one to I think it's 150 or 130 or something. And honestly, it they've got dust on them. Like
Yeah, I bet.
past about 60 kilos, they've just got dust.
I've seen him. I think it was Matt Does Fitness. I think doing like
Yeah, he
he
went
might
to
just
the
be
new one on the
deadlifting them
Wirral.
or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was like, it was like until he couldn't do one also. I can't remember, but something like that.
Yeah, he was challenging the public, I think it was, to lift 150 kilo with one hand. Mate, I tried, like I started to try to do it and I just felt like my elbow was gonna rip out of its socket. Like I was like, no, I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, leave that.
Yeah. But it's just chaos because obviously all the equipment's black and green. So as far as you see, you can't
Yeah,
tell
it's
what's
just
going on until you're
no.
next to it.
You're like, where's
And
that? Oh, what?
it's just machine on top of machine. But yeah, it's a decent gym. I just find that there's too much of very similar equipment now, and quite a lot of it tends to be out of use. Either the cables have snapped on them, and also yeah. Basically, I've not got a membership there, so but, yeah. The new gym I'm at now is sound, and I've just seen this week 12 new pieces of equipment are going this
Nice.
weekend. So I don't know where they're going to put it though, because it's already chock anyway, unless they're getting rid of some. But yeah, it should be good. They do like their own in-house tournaments sometimes as well.
That's quite cool.
So I'm half tempted to get involved in some of them, but like quite a lot of them involve like deadlifting. I don't deadlift, so I assume like I'd turn up and people would expect me to be able to deadlift like a decent amount, but I haven't deadlifted for 3 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Yeah, fair.
Well, that time we did the Olympic lifting in Pure Gym that time
Yeah,
after
as you say, yeah.
Gymshark, I was just muscling everything up. Just didn't have any of the technique whatsoever, but tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with obviously you're heavily into CrossFit now. Do you find that a lot of your clients are CrossFit based, or do you still provide like the bodybuilding side of things and the usual sort of gym splits?
So I wouldn't necessarily say I provide like the bodybuilding style of things, but we definitely have a range in terms of like, I mean, we have people that come on board who want to get better at CrossFit, and they're already doing CrossFit, and they want to be able to like smash toes to bar. They want to be able to like squat, snatch, and like improve those like higher skill aspects to it. And then we've got on the other side of it, we've got people who are maybe a year into the gym, and they are kind of just following a push pull legs or that, or like say going in and just doing chest or just doing shoulders or whatever, and it's like their first kind of sprinkle into doing more functional fitness aspects. So it's not necessarily bodybuilding focused, but it's bodybuilding exercises, if that kind of makes sense. So it's not like I don't put as the mindset of that's how we're training. There's the purpose of like trying to get stronger and fitter aspects to it, but ultimately like doing things in a safe manner. So if you've got someone who's only a year into the gym, the last thing I'm going to do is tell them to let's start doing cleans and snatches and all this mad stuff.
Definitely.
There's still that purpose and process we need to follow.
Yeah, get the base strength there, definitely. So in terms of CrossFit then, obviously we've spoke quite a lot about the benefits. What would you say the best things about CrossFit are? Say if there was someone considering starting it, what would be like the top 3 reasons that you'd say to someone?
Oh, top 3. Top 1, the first thing that popped into my mind is like being fit for life. And like our Every Move Academy tagline is fit for purpose, and it's that aspect behind it of like what CrossFit does for you is that you can pretty much rock up on any given day and be able to hold your own in any situation. The flip side of that, and I saw the Australian strength coach speaking about this the other day, saying how like the part of CrossFit is like, are they the strongest people in the world? No. Are they the fittest people in the world? No. Are they the best runners in the world? No. Are they the best gymnasts in the world? No. Are they the best? Like, you know where I'm going with this. But what they can do is they're good at every aspect across the board. So what you are doing is, if you want to be the strongest person alive, then CrossFit's probably not the best thing for you. If you want
it's like an all-rounder.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like that aspect of actually, if you want to just in general enjoy your life and be able to do awesome things, then it's an amazing training methodology.
Yeah. So on the flip side then, what would you like to see improved about CrossFit?
Probably movement standards of certain aspects, I think. And again, it depends what kind of place you're at. Actually, 2 points, I need to remember this. But like staying with movement standards, like I think what's interesting is with CrossFit, there is like strict movement standards of like your hips need to break parallel. You need to get your chin over the bar on a pull-up. All these things that are actually pretty strict. But that also gives a lot of variance between it. So the best example I can give is like in Olympic weightlifting, for a snatch to count, it has to be locked out elbows. If you're soft in the elbows and you finish the lift by pressing it out, it's equivalently a no lift and it doesn't count. In CrossFit, doesn't matter. So what that then means is that you can catch it a little bit soft and press out and it's fine. But then you have all the other side of the spectrum. What happens is people get it to here and they end up like pressing it out overhead,
like
and
taking
you're
the
like,
mick with it.
okay, that is not what I like to see. And like, I think people are still like, oh, well, you got it. And it's like, but they didn't really. Like, that shouldn't be something that's being taught. So like, that could definitely be improved. But hilariously, like, we were watching, I think it's like 2009 CrossFit Games workouts, and it is abysmal. I was like, if everyone still moved like that, I would not be interested in it whatsoever. Like, it was shocking. So like, it's definitely improved a hell of a lot. And then the other thing that I was going to mention, and this definitely isn't train, because I know like trains programming is wicked, but like, I think and it's more I've heard from people at other CrossFit gyms what theirs is like, of like the class programming and what that is consistently for someone. And there is still like, you still need to have a purpose of a process that you're following in terms of a training of like building in your back squat, building in your deadlift, and building in your things. But if you're only then doing a back squat once every 5 weeks, then you're not going to get better at that back squat. And I think a lot of places that I've heard of do just kind of randomly put stuff together, and then that's actually not a good thing. But the good places do have a structure to follow.
So you kind of still need to work in that kind of bodybuilding side of things, is what you're saying, to keep that sort of base strength there.
It's that process of like consistency. Like, if you want to get better at a certain thing, then you need to drill it in. And especially for like someone who's maybe 6 months to years into CrossFit, and like they're trying to get better at everything. It's like, okay, well, why don't you just focus on 2 things over the next 8 weeks and hammer them, and then you'll actually get better at that, and then focus on those next 2 things. But I think when people try and focus on absolutely everything, they end up actually not improving in the areas that they want them to. And it is just about consistency.
Well, you find, don't you, that most people do the things that they enjoy to do, and not the things that they don't enjoy that they actually need to work on to improve. Like, you find that in all aspects of life in general. Like, why would people want to do the things that they don't enjoy? But quite often, that's where you're going to see the most growth and progress.
It's that aspect of like working on your weaknesses. Like, yes, you don't want to neglect your strengths, because you still want your strengths to be like the things that you can excel at, but you need to get better at having less things that are bad. And that's going to stem from actually putting the work in to work on your weaknesses and work on the things that you know you should be working on. Because again, it goes back to the same point of like, I want to get better at this. It's like, well, how often are you doing it? Oh, well, once a month, because I don't really like it. Well, you're not going to get better then, are you? Right.
But you see it like I've had it a few times with clients. They go, oh, might have to change like Bulgarian split squats out. I'm like, why? Don't enjoy it. Why don't you enjoy it? Oh, because I'm a bit wobbly on it. Well, instead of taking it out, let's look to improve it. So, there's got to be a bit of give and take. Like, if there's genuine reasons why you don't enjoy it, like if it's hurting physically, if there's, I don't know, if you've got certain mobility issues, maybe certain injuries that are causing problems, then maybe we look at taking it out. But if you want to take it out just because you're a bit wobbly or you don't quite enjoy it a little bit too much, but there's got to be a bit of give and take sometimes.
100%.
So have you got any competitions coming up then with the CrossFit?
So I do actually. I've got 2 weekends time. I've got Battle for Middle Ground, and then it's called Trinity War in Leeds, which is a male 3. So I'm doing it with another lad called Jack and Alistair from the gym, which is a 2-day comp, which I've never actually done a 2-day comp, so that should be interesting. And it's got a swim in it, which again should be interesting.
How's your swimming?
I'm actually, so it's not something I do too much of, but I'm quite confident swimming.
How far is it?
Like born in Guernsey, it was something I just did a hell of a lot as a kid, like swimming in the sea, just all the flipping time. And like then swam like loads. Yeah, just it's something I've done a lot of my life, and well, the only thing is whenever I do it, it's like, I mean, it is knackering regardless, but I'll be confident, kind of just hammering myself on that one.
How far have you got to swim?
Pardon?
How far have you got to swim?
We don't know yet. The workouts aren't out.
But
it was quite clever. So like I went there last year because Sarah was competing in a girls team of 3,
right?
And there was like 2 people were in the water, and then 1 person was doing like dumbbell exercises. They were even like, at one point you had to push a brick along the bottom of the pool for like 4 lengths. So
it's a bit rough.
Yeah. So like it can be anything. So it'll be probably pretty savage.
Sounds it.
Huh?
Sounds it.
Yeah. I think that's what I quite find fun is you just don't know what is going to happen.
Do you not find that like a bit difficult to train for though?
Yes,
because you don't actually know what's going on.
Yeah, so like you could argue, like probably not many people had practiced pushing a brick along the bottom of the pool.
Probably not, no.
But then I also think it's quite fun to adapt in that moment, and like when you, and this is more like at the top level of like the CrossFit Games people, and you see them doing it. Like when there's a new movement that they're just thrown at, it's like, how can you develop and how can you actually react in that moment to learn quickly how it feels? And like an example at the moment I can give you is like doing double unders, like skipping.
Yeah.
Something that took me ages to learn. And then once you click it, it's like, boom, why did this take so long? And then they've just now, in the last like year, they introduced crossovers, so it's like skipping, crossing the rope.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. And
it's coordination, isn't it? At the end of the
and like so in that moment when it was like the first workout I did, I just got absolutely nailed and I couldn't get through it. And then what I did is I just spent ages like learning it, hammering it. And then I actually had to qualify with Sarah and smashed them, but it was like because of that work to it. What was it? Competition. So then I've got that in a couple of weeks, and then another one in a month's time, which is a mixed pairs with Sarah, which will also be our first competition, just us 2. So we've done comps together, like as
could be some arguments.
No, like it should be. So like, what's really good is, and it's the same on a business perspective, to be fair, is like we complement each other quite well. Yeah. So we've both got strengths and weaknesses of the other person's strengths and weaknesses. So like she might be better with a barbell, whereas I'm then better at like the gymnastics aspect. So we could use that pretty well to our advantage. Yeah. So that should be really good. And like we've wanted to do a mixed pair competition for ages, but you might have like a mixed 4 or a mixed 6, or it's not that often they do mixed pairs. They might do like same-sex pairs or something like that, but male and female one, it's not as common. So that should be good.
Nice. Yeah, see, like that's the different side of things. So I've started doing like the sprint triathlons and stuff. I know what I've got coming. Like I know what I need to train for. This one is the shortest time that I've given myself to prepare for one. It's 5 weeks today. Basically, what happened was at our football presentation, my mate turned around after a few drinks. He was like, "I would smoke you at a triathlon." He'd already signed up for one because a fella from work does them, and he bet him. I think he bet him 100 quid that he'd finish one. It's only a sprint one, so then he signed up for it, and he said to me at the before presentation, 50 quid, I'll smoke you at a triathlon. I was like, sound, I will sign up. Like, because like I wouldn't have to train that much to beat him just because of our fitness levels. But I was like, I'm not turning 50 quid down. Yeah. So I said, if I pass my exam, I said I'll jump on it. So I passed it last week. Signed up on the Saturday last week. So I gave myself 6 weeks, essentially. I've got 5 weeks left to train. And today was the first time I went in the pool in 6 months.
How was that?
It was all right. I've had a little bit of a niggle in my shoulder recently. It was hurting a little bit to begin with, but it eased up. So I'm fairly confident I'll be all right. It's just I need just time in the pool, basically.
Yeah. Is that your like worst part of the three?
Um, it's hard to say, just because of like I'm very strong on a bike.
Yeah.
I'm not too bad at running. It's just how heavy I am at like to run. Like I'm 16 stone, so it's not light. And obviously, after you've done the swim and the bike, the run is obviously then quite hard. I've only done one sprint triathlon before, and I'd say it went fairly okay. The only issue with the first one I did was it was in an outdoor saltwater pool, and it was just chaos. It was like really badly run because basically it was 16 lengths. It wasn't a standard length pool either. It was like 30.5 meters, so it was like an extra 5.5 meters long. But what they had you doing, they had 4 lanes, and what you had to do was go up and down twice, and then hop under and do that again like 4 times. So instead of sticking in one lane, they had you constantly ducking under. But not only that, obviously, when you've done your first length and come back, there's someone else starting at the same time in that first lane. So I came back, and as I've literally pushed off, they'd literally just set someone off in front of me, and they were going so slow. So I've put a burst in past them, messed my breathing up straight away. But because there was that many people in the pool as well, it was so choppy. So I kept like turning my head to breathe and just took in a load of salt water. It felt sick.
Yeah.
Somehow trapped a nerve in my shoulder, which then went right up the back of my head and gave me like a headache. I never get headaches either. So I was like, this is great. Got out of the pool. On the bike was fine until I hit a pothole, and it just jarred my my calf. I got cramp in my calf. Was nowhere near tired enough to like have cramp, but somehow just because of the way it jammed, just cramped up, and then the run was all right. It wasn't as quick as I would have liked it, but I've signed up to do it next year as well. So
Nice.
well, this year basically. So I've got a time to be September.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I've got the Edge Hill one in 5 weeks, which is a 400-meter pool swim, but you stay in the same lane for that, so that's all right. And then the bike's like a 3-loop thing for 18.5k, and then a 5k run. So should be all right. Yeah, I've just not given myself very much time to prepare for it.
It'll be sad. It's like, especially having done one before.
Yeah, I know what to expect, and it's slightly shorter than the first one I did, and I've obviously got the competitive side of beating my mate for 50 quid.
You just got to bury yourself.
Oh yeah, well, no, bury him. That's the aim. Yeah, so apparently some of the footy lads are going to come down and watch as well, so that could be a bit tasty.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping the weather's better, because I can't be asked going on the bike if it's rainy like this, because I don't flying off it on a bend.
No thanks.
But yeah, so other things for you then that you have on, you do the retreats as well, don't you, outside of the Every Move Academy?
Yeah,
How
so
did that start?
That's also a co-founder of the Urban Fitness Retreat. So that's with Andrew Ball, who I met from my Pure Gym days. Yeah. And we are about to have our 7th retreat in October in Rhodes. And so we've been going now for our first one was like October 19, I think, because it was literally just before COVID kicked off.
Yeah.
And then we had we had to cancel 2 Aprils on the trot, but always managed to randomly squeeze in October.
Right.
Like, just got lucky, basically.
Yeah.
And then last year we had our first October. This year I had our first April. This year we had our first April, and then we've got our next October one.
So how did that all start? Like, what was the idea behind it?
That was more so like Andrew Moore came to me and was like, look, I've got a business idea on doing some fitness retreats. And I was like, mega, that sounds mint. And it was like, I'd recently gone on holiday with Sarah, and I'd like messaged the hotel about doing like a class for staff and stuff. And they gave we got like a really nice like spa treatment as a thank you. And I was like, that was so much fun. Like, I'd love to do something go on holiday doing that. So as soon as Andrew was like, yeah, what about this? I was like, yeah, let's go for it.
Straight away.
And very quickly we went on a recce trip out to Rhodes, like out to the hotel, and then put the wheels in motion. But it moved pretty quickly, to be fair, from like when it was just an idea that we went and sat down and had a coffee and came up with like some names and putting some like ideas of things together, to then actually a recce, and then after like first retreat, and then it's just like been a big snowball effect from there. Like I think our first one was maybe 9 or 10 people, and it was like all clients, like very much people that from Pure Gym.
Yeah.
And then the one we're like, we'll go on now is like, we'll have 24, and that'll be like the third one on the trot that we've like sold out at. And it's like, we have like probably, there's maybe 60-70% is people through like Instagram and social, like just like people that we actually don't know. And then people coming back again. Like we've got a guy who's come on 5, I think. He will come on. Yeah. So like people
need some sort of reward scheme for them.
People love it. Literally, they just come straight back. And like for us is wicked, because obviously it is at the same hotel. Yeah. But people just know they're in for a wicked week. And yeah.
So what sort of things could people expect if they were to sign up for one?
So very much like at the end of the day, it's a holiday. We respect that. And what we don't do is like, right, this is a timetable and it's like 2 an hour. You need to be here. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that. Some people might want that, don't get me wrong, but that's not kind of our motive with it. It's at an all-inclusive resort. So people have their own room, their own space. They're not stuck in a villa with 20 other people sharing 3 or 4 bathrooms. They can go and have their own room. They go and have their own space. But there's like 2 workouts a day pretty much. So 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 like in the gym, doing more like strength movements, keeping everything a little bit slower, a bit less intensity. And then in the afternoons, always like either in a group, on your own, big teams, more like cardio fitness elements, like all around the hotel. Beach workouts, hikes, day trips. There's water sports, loads of other sports around the resorts and things that people can do. And lots of time for chilling and sunbathing, really.
And all you can eat food and drink.
And like we don't, obviously we it's more, I think what we have is more people asking us nutrition questions that they can go back home with. But we're not going to sit there and say to you like, oh, wouldn't be putting that on your plate. Because it's, again, like people are on holiday, enjoy yourself. Like that's not what they're there to meet, like-minded people, create some friendships, have fun, train, enjoy the sun. We don't necessarily put an alcohol limit. We just say, be mindful, because you're going to be waking up tomorrow morning. You're going to be in the gym at 7 a.m. And I mean, people do it. Like people are still there. Like the last April one was a group that definitely were hammering a lot more alcohol than before. And they were like, a couple of them were coming in. There was like one of the beach workouts. They'd been up till 1:30 in the morning drinking. But like they're still there, they're still cracking on. So for us, like whatever, enjoy yourself.
A few rough sessions.
Yeah, exactly. It just is what it is. You're on holiday. The hangover doesn't really hit as much, I don't think.
But it's always nicer abroad.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's very chilled in terms of like that aspect of things.
Sounds good. So in terms of anything else, what have you got coming up?
So for us, like the Evermove Academy, it's very much like we've just done a turf games literally a couple of weeks ago. So that was like, we took 12 clients, six guys, 6 girls into mixed teams, like big functional fitness competition. So we're going to do that again come February, which will be the winter festival. We've got a few people doing a few teams, so like 3 pairs of then a mix. We do people going into doing high rocks next January, so that's another focus and things. Very much the like right now focus, we're actually trying to get more into the corporate space. So we've just developed a product called like 9 to Thrive, which is all about people who are working 9 to 5 jobs and ultimately trying to feel better about themselves and that aspect of things, but doing things much more on a local level and a corporate aspect. But for us as well, it's always just about our community. And that was about like this time last year, we'd always just been like, don't get me wrong, we'd always focused on like the people in our business and like in the community, but we really actually like started to put the actions to reflect what we said. So like more training days, we do Tough Mudders, hikes, like meetups, very much about like building friendships with people. And like this morning, we've got a photo of a client doing a 10K, and he had met someone else who was there at like a training day that we did yesterday, and they're sending us photos together. Like that's the bit for me that gives me the most amount of happiness. Like, yes, when someone messaged me and says like, oh, I'm like feeling so awesome, that is amazing. But like seeing people create friendships with one another through like starting in the Every Move Academy is really cool. So it's just about continuing to grow that really, and just take over more and more into that functional fitness space.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a plan, and I'm sure you'll smash it out. And especially with you wanting to get into the corporate space, you're in the right place, right in the middle of Manchester.
Yeah, I mean, and we even live like Spinningfield side of townish, so we should be good.
Yeah. So where can everyone find you, Alex?
Pretty much everywhere, just Alex Dick-Cleland. So I think on YouTube now is Coach Alex Dick-Cleland, but pretty much if you type that in, you're gonna find me across everywhere. So like LinkedIn, the old Threads these days, Instagram, Twitter you can, but mostly I'm just going to retweet football stuff, to be honest with you. Facebook page again, Alex Dick-Cleland. Just if you search that, you'll find me. And then Every Move Academy is our website. And then if you're interested in retreats, you've got urbanfitnessretreat.com.
I'll get your links in the show notes below. It'll be a massive list by the sounds of it because you're everywhere.
Just type it. Just go onto Instagram and you'll find everything. I think that's probably the best strategy always.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Threads at the moment? Like, I find it's just like a mind dump of just loads of crap that comes across my head.
Yeah. So that was like definitely my strategy when it came out. I was just like, screw it. I'm just gonna anything that I think about, I'm just gonna put it in there and see what happens. And I don't really have a strategy with it or anything, and I don't really plan to ever have a strategy with it because I don't get the vibe that it's a strategy app kind of thing.
No,
I don't know if it will be something that really like takes off and like kicks off a lot. I mean,
I can't see it.
I have already noticed that I'm spending a lot less time on it.
Same.
Like
that first day
I couldn't get off it. Like the first few days, it was like constantly on it. And already I'm like, oh shit, I haven't been on Threads today kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a mind dump for me at the moment.
Yeah.
But
I think what has been interesting though is maybe not as much now, like it's settled itself, but especially in that first period, I was seeing people's content that I hadn't seen on Instagram for like months, but I knew that I followed them, and I was like, whoa, this is pretty cool. That's kind of settled a bit more now, where I'm seeing the same people that I kind of see on Instagram, but probably just because the users have flooded in, and then it's just gone back to like the same algorithm, I suppose.
Well, I found at first, like the first week especially, it was just showing me people that I didn't follow.
Yeah.
I was like, why? I don't care about these people.
And there's no like even explore, is there? It's just it's just a feed.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't follow these accounts. Why is it showing me stuff?
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned football as well there. How do you think United are going to get on this year?
I'm quietly confident, I think.
Yeah? Reckon you'll be back up there?
I don't know. We're not going to win the league or anything like that, but I think we will compete for longer than we did last year. And I think we'll win a trophy again. like
Yeah.
maybe the FA Cup or something like that. But I think regardless, even if we don't win anything, I think there'll still be massive improvements throughout the season. And Ten Hag is definitely the man to take us forward because of his, like, the main thing I like about them is that he just is ruthless to the point that it needed to happen, and drops Maguire as captain, not renewed De Gea's contract, like doing all these things that as a fan base we wanted to happen, but no one had the bottle to do it. Ronaldo was obviously an issue, settled that. He's had a lot of crap to deal with over the last year, and then it's like he's now got a keeper that is like, I mean, look, I don't know. I didn't know much about him before the Champions League final, but everyone says he's like unbelievable with the ball at his feet. So it's like, that's just going to completely transform already the way that we can play football. Yeah. We just need to make sure we've got a goal, an absolute ruthless person to score goals. And I still would chop my hands off for Harry Kane. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think he's ever going to leave Tottenham, and I don't think he'll ever win a trophy.
No, he'll just have...
It's pointless scoring all those goals to have nothing
behind his name.
Yeah. For me, it's a waste of a career. There's no point in having all those goals if you've got nothing to show for it other than a golden boot.
Like, at least Shearer won Premier Leagues.
Yeah. But the thing is, as well, going back to it, how was Harry Maguire ever captain?
But that was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and as much as I wanted that to work, he was... I don't even necessarily think out of his depth. I think he's just too soft to be a manager. I think he lets people...
Too emotional with the club, isn't it?
Yeah, like you need to be the person who is that authority and demands respect. And I think he didn't have that authority because he let people have the authority over him.
Yeah.
And that was probably just hit its peak, and then it just came slamming down. Yeah,
it was a bit of a downfall.
And then Ralph Ragnick just went, I do not care. These lot are useless. Yeah. And it just was carnage.
Do you reckon he'll do better against Liverpool this year?
Yeah, I mean...
It's not gone too well over the last couple of seasons.
I do. The aggregate score is...
Oh, it's a joke, especially at Anfield.
It's like 29-3 or something like that, I swear.
I think it's... Oh, I saw a mad stat. It was at Anfield. No, is it... Since Salah's been at Liverpool, he's got more yellow cards for taking his shirt off against United for scoring than United have scored against Liverpool at Anfield.
Oh my God.
I think it's 3 yellow cards and 2 goals that he's scored at Anfield.
He must have a couple of hat-tricks, doesn't
he? He scored one in the 7-0, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think then he did it the 5-0 at Old Trafford.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how we get on this year. I don't know when we're playing is actually. I haven't looked. But I always make sure to message you.
Yeah. I don't know. I was still in disbelief after that.
You quite often blank it.
Yeah, that last one I was like, you're not getting anything back.
I couldn't not though.
No.
Got to take those opportunities. Anyway, before we turn this into a football podcast, we'll round it up. Thank you very much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me. It's been wicked.
No problem. Like I say, I'll put all your stuff in the show notes below. If you've enjoyed this one, drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.